Hi there, and welcome to Meet the Experts. Today, I have a very special guest. His name is Dave Kolodzik. He is the founder and CEO of Expert Reserve Services. And today, we are discussing a very important topic, and that is understanding replacement valuation. So I am super excited to have you here with us today, Dave, to explore this whole topic.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Well, let's start by first identifying what is exactly replacement cost valuation.
Well, a replacement cost valuation is literally what it would cost to rebuild the structure or structures if it were a total loss, and therefore how much to insure it for. It's important to know because especially with today's inflation rates going up so much, the price fluctuates quite a bit between labor and materials.
Correct.
So it's good to find out how much it would actually cost to rebuild your home or your business or your condominium, and so how much to insure it for.
I see. So how did you get into this? Tell us a little bit about your company and what it does.
I actually started this in 2002 formally. Before that, I was doing real estate and doing investments. I'd build homes as spec and sell them off. And someone had approached me. I was doing insurance inspections, and they said, we need a replacement cost valuation and insurance appraisal. It's like I had no idea what this was. So I looked into it and flew out to California and got certified and came back, and it's become a real cool little niche industry because especially in Florida with the way the prices go up so much, people just don't really understand how underinsured most of their homes or their commercial properties are.
Buildings, buildings. Well, especially with all the hurricanes that we've had recently,
Right.
And how damaging certain areas of the coast was. As a matter of fact, one of the places is my building where I live.
Yeah.
And now they're all backpedaling to see how can they actually pay for all these expenses with the loss of seawalls and this and that. So that's basically where things like this come into play. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. All insurance policies have got what's called an insured value clause on them. And most people sign policies all the time, their applications, and they never actually read them.
Right.
But the value clause is very important for the insurance carrier because basically you as the policyholder are guaranteeing the insurance carrier that you're insuring to the full replacement value of the structure, whether again it's condominium, home, commercial property. And most people have no idea. I mean, they're not engineers, they're not contractors. They don't really know how much it would actually cost to rebuild it.
Replace it.
And they're assuming that the insurance company is going to tell them, but the insurance company really doesn't have that much information about that either.
Yeah.
So it's important because if you have a major claim, like the condominiums are having right now after the 2 hurricanes we've had recently, the insured value clause comes in quite a bit because for example, if you're only insured to 75% replacement value, legally they only have to pay you 75% of your claim after the deductible. So the condominium association, the residents have to come up with the rest of the money to repair or replace things. So that, of course, leads to special assessments.
Right, which you want to try to avoid. And the reason you want to do something like that is to really avoid having to pay out from your own pocket.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, if you're paying insurance premiums every month, every year, every quarter, whatever, you would like to make sure you have enough coverage to cover yourself if you have a major claim.
Right.
A couple of really cool examples. My house personally, it's like the mechanic who doesn't fix his own car. I went for 2 years till I was doing an RCV, a replacement cost valuation on my home. And I had no idea what the way inflation was. I was $200,000 underinsured.
Wow.
And so I called my agent and increased the value because, again, I had minimal damage for the hurricanes this past time, but who knows the next time.
Right.
Another one, this is not a condominium, but a specific home I did just last week in Mount Dora. This gentleman has this fantastic home. He had it custom built for him. It's over Lake Dora, and so it's all on pilings.
Yeah.
It's basically a dock.
Wow.
Gorgeous house made with cedar and white pine. Fantastic. But the insurance agent typed it into his thing and pulled up the square footage and doesn't take anything else in consideration. It said, well, it would only cost $220,000 to replace this, where the actual replacement value actually was close to $1 million.
Yes, I bet.
So I had to have the report documenting everything, and he had to present it to the insurance carrier in order to get that much coverage.
To actually insure it.
Right. Yeah. Because it's a process to
Yeah.
you have to document it and show them that you've done your homework.
So how does one find out about you and making sure that they are doing their due diligence and make sure that they do have the proper
Well,
replacement?
over the years, we get referred by the insurance agencies. If you have a good agent who's competent, who's worried about making sure that there's policyholders are protected, and a lot of times for the higher end homes, like the multi-million-dollar ones, the insurance carrier actually contracts with us to do it.
I see.
The homeowners, they're really not educated enough on the personal homes. On the condominiums, that's a different story. Condominiums have got to have this done by law, by state statute 718, every 36 months at a minimum.
Wow.
Now, some of the insurance carriers, like Citizens Property and Casualty, they're actually requiring some condominiums, some of the older ones, to have this done annually now because of, again, inflation.
All the things.
In Florida as a whole, as an average in Florida, in 2020, the cost of construction went up 17.9% in 1 year.
Wow.
Last year, in 2021, it went up 9.3%. Less, but still a significant increase.
Right. It's incredible.
Well, usually in Florida, we experience a 3 to 5% increase every year, but this has been exorbitant. It's 25 to 30% in 2 years.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
We haven't
So-
experienced that in a long time.
What is the difference then between real estate appraisal and valuation?
Well, I tell people there are 3 different types of appraisals, replacement cost valuations. Let's talk about the terminology for a second. The what's been called insurance appraisal is the common term for it. It identifies what it is. Replacement cost valuation is what the industry calls it, and for condominiums, it's what's actually in the Florida statute is replacement cost valuation. The difference is on a real estate appraisal, it's what the home or building or whatever it is worth in the current real estate market. So they take comps, comparisons
Yeah.
around the area of things that are similar, and they tell you basically how much it's worth on the open market. The second thing would be in tax appraisals, property tax appraisals. That's put out by the local cities or counties or state. And quite honestly, no one has any idea where they arrive at those numbers. I look at them sometimes, it's like these are just arbitrary numbers. And then the third is the insurance appraisal, replacement cost valuation. And they all have similar sounding names, but all 3 are totally different for different reasons.
Yeah, I never understood the difference between all of them, so that's great education for me, for sure. So how does one know which one, or do they need all 3?
Well, you only need a real estate appraisal when you're ready to sell.
Okay.
The insurance, for property taxes, well, they're going to tell you how much they're going to tax you for no matter what you do anyway.
Right.
But for insurance, to make sure you're properly insured, you do need a replacement cost valuation. I had one client 20 years ago, and some people would remember the name is Wayne Heisinger. He was founder of Blockbuster Video and was the president of the Miami Dolphins for several years. He had 7 homes, all on the Intracoastal down in Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, and his CFO, Chief Financial Officer for the corporation, contacted me, and they wanted to get them all replacement cost valuations done on all of them because he was afraid he was underinsured. As it turned out, he was badly underinsured, so it was a very smart move on their part.
Yeah. So with condo associations, what are some of the mistakes that you see them usually make?
With condominium associations, what they normally miss out on are the additions. Had one association after Hurricane Matthew several years ago that had many detached carports that they just never thought about putting on their policy, and the agent never questioned it. And so every one of the carports was destroyed, which was hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. In fact, I think it came out to just a little under $1 million that was on the policy that was not covered.
Yeah. What about all the seawalls that are damaged now? Are those insured by replacement?
That's something I've been harping on for 20 years, to make sure you have coverage on your seawalls. And I always get the same answer to my question if they're insured or not. And that is, it's concrete, they're fine, they're not going anywhere. And so I've always explained to them, it's like, well, if the structure's there, you're right, but undermining it, taking the dirt out from underneath of it, it will cause it to collapse. And unfortunately, that's what happened in this case, the seawall collapses. When we do our replacement cost valuations for condominiums, we always include what the replacement value, replacement cost would be for the seawall. Very, very, very few associations actually insure them.
Right.
For one of two reasons. First is it's very expensive. The insurance companies want to get premium dollar for those because that's an expensive outlay. The second thing is it's hard to find an insurance carrier who will even write it. There's only one or two carriers that will even write seawalls.
Yeah, that's what I heard, that they're having a very hard time gaining that. Is that legal? I mean, can they just not insure a seawall?
You mean the
Insurance
the
not, like,
association?
isn't there some kind of a law that should say, okay, if I'm going to build a structure, you're an insurance company, you should insure me?
Well, it's like anything else. It's what the market will bear. If there's no one out there, they'll say, well, go find someone else who will, because we don't cover it. I think that's going to be a question in Tallahassee for the politicians and the Office of Insurance Regulation to decide whether or not they're going to mandate the carriers to also cover seawalls. And that'll be interesting in the future moving forward, because these hurricanes are going to leave a lot of questions for insurability in Florida.
For sure. Now, is it mandatory to have a replacement valuation for, like, let's say, condo association? Is that something they have to have?
Yeah, and again, under statute 718, actually 718.111.11a is the actual statute. It was passed in 2007. All condominium associations have to have this done at a minimum of every 36 months. Okay. That statute was amended in 2010 so that commercial condominium associations are not required. So now it's only residential. However, there are also the combination commercial and residentials. So the way the statute reads, even if there's only one residential unit in the association, it has to be done.
That's good. And that's basically what your company does, right?
That's part of it.
Yeah.
That was the founding part of the company. We also do reserve studies.
Okay.
And reserve studies have been the hot topic, especially over the last 2 years. Right. After the collapse of Champlain Towers down in Miami, the statute has changed with condominiums, so they have to have what's now called a structural integrity reserve study done, and they have a deadline. Every condominium association in Florida that's 3 stories or above have got to have this done before the end of next year, December 31st, 2024.
Wow. How long does it take to do a replacement valuation?
The replacement cost valuation, RCV, from the time that we're out in the field to the time the report is ready, we try our best to get it done in 4 to 5 business days. So it's about a week turnaround. Okay. Right now, because of again the collapse down in Miami, a lot of the insurance companies are no longer requiring the 3 years of the statute, but requiring it more often, sometimes every 12 months. we're pretty backed up, and so we're running a little bit over right now on that.
So what do you usually find when you do, what's the most common thing you find when you do one of the valuations?
Things have been overlooked. I had an association a few weeks ago up in Jacksonville that they actually did not hire someone who was certified in replacement cost valuation. They hired a real estate appraiser to do it, which is fine. That legally they're able to do it, but they're just not experienced at it.
Right.
It was a 4-story tall building, had 24 units in it. He only valued for insurance the interior of each of the units. He left out all the balconies, all the common areas, the stairwells. He left off literally 16,000 square feet for each building.
Wow.
So they were badly underinsured. Unfortunately, it was my job to tell them that, and that their values should have been a lot higher, and their premiums are going to go up because of it. But that's as I keep telling them, you can't shoot the messenger.
That's right.
Yeah,
they didn't like you very much.
No, they didn't. I also had one condominium
Oh
about 15 years ago that the previous appraisal, it was a tower. The previous appraiser left off one entire floor.
Oh my gosh.
And that was a Ponce Inlet. So again, I was not popular.
Yeah.
But
you were saving them really from.
I was saying, because again, going back to the insured to value clause, if they had a claim, they would have been in trouble.
So what does an association do? Let's say you did one and they found the whole floor missing, and now they're at a certain insured amount. Do they have to get the whole board to agree that we need to go get new insurance rates and revalue the insurance amount we're insured for? What's that process like?
Well, ultimately you want to wait until you're up for renewal anyway. You don't want to shop insurance in the middle of your policy term.
Okay.
And I encourage associations as well as individuals to shop insurance every year on renewal. Don't just renew automatically, because the market changes constantly. Last year in 2021 in Florida, we had 17 insurance carriers go out of business. And so I mean the market fluctuates. So go to an independent agent. Someone who writes for several companies, and have them shop it for you. Maybe even a couple of independent agents, and have them shop, because they write for different companies.
Right. Yeah. And what happens in the case that your insurance company went out of business? Are you done?
Well, you better find other insurance quickly. Usually they don't close the doors right away.
Right
They
in
give
the
you
middle
notice.
of their.
Yeah. They give you notice, or at least they stop writing policies, or they non-renew, and then you have until the end of your policy term to find new coverage. But that's not always the case. The state has been known to shut down insurance carriers because they'd be insolvent. They actually didn't have enough money in reserves to pay for the claims, and the Office of Insurance Regulation actually closes them down.
So really, this goes hand in hand with reserves, right? Because
yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's it's good to have them done together with the reserve studies. From my standpoint, doing the replacement cost valuations, I really can't derive a lot of information off the reserve study. However, the reserve study specialist can take a lot of information off the RCVs. One of the things that the legislature started not requiring but suggesting a couple years ago is reserving for your insurance deductible, because as the amount of premiums are going up so much, a lot of the associations are going for a higher deductible. And so if you have that in your reserve account, if you do have a major claim like the hurricanes that just happened, the money will be available to meet the deductible without having to do a special assessment.
Yeah, that's very smart.
Another thing is, again back to the reserve studies, another thing that they're suggesting is for hurricane cleanup, because most insurance policies don't have anything in there for actually cleaning up debris or damage.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
See, you wouldn't even think about that.
Yeah, and it gets expensive. Again, going back to the association after Matthew that lost all of the carports. it costs a lot of money to haul all
Oh,
that
yeah.
scrap away.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah, and
that
you wouldn't think that the city's going to cover that, so you would have to actually have somebody come and get it.
yeah, you have to have hauled away and have it
Yeah.
cleaned up, and so
Wow.
it's fairly expensive. So for reserve studies, that's two important things that we always suggest for our associations, whether they're homeowner associations or condominium associations, is make sure you have line items for both the hurricane cleanup and for your insurance deductibles.
Makes sense. Yeah. Well, this is such great, valuable information. So, what should someone really do now? Let's say they've watched this and they're like, oh, this is a lot of great information. What should be their next step?
Well, they can always call us or go to our website. It's expertreserveservices.com. Or our direct line is 386-677-8886. We're always happy to answer questions for you. On the website, there's a lot of questions that commonly asked questions. We have several videos there that talk about both reserve studies and replacement cost valuations. But just ask, and if they feel like there's a possibility they're underinsured, then they definitely are. People just don't understand how expensive things have gotten.
Yeah.
They see the price of homes going up. Well, price of constructions went up more than that, percentage-wise.
Yeah. So, should this be also part of their budget to where, like, how much would it cost to do something like this? I'm sure it depends on the size of the building, the structure.
It depends on the for condominium associations, let's just talk about them. It depends on the size of the building, the number of buildings. I have some associations that have up to 100 buildings, small buildings throughout the association. So it really depends. As a general rule, a one building association that's a small tower, the value of the building itself with all the side additions, they would have like the pool, hot tub, seawall, carports like that. Usually the replacement cost valuation is under $1,000.
Oh, okay. Well, that's reasonable. So how would someone, like, would I request a quote from you to know what will it be?
Yeah, just get in touch with us. We'll research your building using the property appraiser information for the county it's in or the city. Then we'll also do satellite imaging to take a look at it, and then we'll give you a quote.
Okay, great. And then you said it takes about a week or so, or a couple of weeks to get the results.
Yeah, right now we're scheduling a few weeks in advance. Of course, that varies, but
I know you're very busy.
yeah, we're very busy right now. We cover all 67 counties in Florida.
Yeah.
So we're all the way
Very
from
impressive.
Pensacola to Key West.
Yeah.
And everything in between.
Yeah.
So, but we've got, from the time we do the site visit, it takes roughly 4 to 5 business days to get the report back to you.
Yeah.
We strive for that. If it's longer, we'll let you know.
Yeah. Now, do you recommend doing both at the same time, the reserve study and cost replacement evaluation?
Yeah, for condominium associations specifically, that's a good thing to do because the RCVs have got to be done by statute every 3 years, and the reserve study, although it should be updated annually, they should have a full analysis every 3 years.
Okay.
Well, for the reserve studies, what we recommend is it's called the 1-3-3-2-3-3 approach. The first year, it's a level 1 reserve study, and then year 2 and 3. The following year and the year after that, it's going to be a level 3. So we update what the cost of everything is going to be because based on inflation, and then update the report for you. And then on the third year, we'll go back out and take a hard look at it.
I see. Very nice. You are just so knowledgeable. I guess this is your expertise, and that's why you're on the show here sharing.
Over 2 decades. I mean, it's a lot of time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I know that your lovely wife, Anastasia, she was on Meet the Experts, and we did a whole session actually on the reserve studies.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from that as well. And today was a great education, I'm sure, for our audience and everybody who is looking to assess or make sure that they're fully protected with their
Yeah, and
properties.
getting back to Anastasia, because I love talking about her.
Yes.
She is one of only 13 PRAs in Florida, professional
Wow.
reserve analysts.
That's amazing.
Which is the highest rating in Florida. It's like the difference between hiring a bookkeeper and an accountant, a CPA. It's an accredited position that's it's difficult to get, and there's very few of them nationally. And again, there's only 13 in Florida.
Very nice. And she's about to publish a book, which is very nice.
She is working on that. The electronic version is done, and working on getting it to print. Yep.
Very exciting.
Yep.
Well, you guys are definitely being a good force for the industry, for the people that live here, and protecting them and make sure that they are doing all their dotting their I's and crossing their T's. I think that's so important that you're bringing awareness, I think, to this topic.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we try to inform everyone as much as we can, because information is power, and if they're not informed about their options, then they're open to huge losses.
Yeah, which again, a lot of people are experiencing that right now, which is very sad. So hopefully everybody will take your advice and contact them and see if you can get a quotation and answer any questions that they might have, and protect yourself. I think that's the message from today's session, is protect yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not from someone with a gun, but sometimes worse is someone who wants to take all your money away from you. Financial ruin is a definite possibility for you.
For sure. Yeah. So what's one last word of advice you'd like to give everybody?
If you think you're underinsured, you are.
Okay.
So to check to be sure. Again, cost of materials, cost of labor has skyrocketed. Anyone who's went to buy gas recently can see that.
Or go to the grocery store.
Or try to buy eggs.
Well, thank you so much, Dave, for being with us. I advise you all to go to their website, check it out. We'll have a link below this video, and speak with Anastasia or Dave, and they have a team also that's there to help you, so you can protect yourself, your assets, and make sure that no harm comes your way. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you,
Dave.
Dory. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right.